Alright guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my review for The Substance. This one came out in 2024. It is starring Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, Dennis Quaid, and was directed by Coralie Fargeat. This movie fucking rules. I'm not burying the lead. I'm not gonna give some long drawn out fucking intro like I usually do. Full stop. This movie is fucking incredible. If you need any sort of endorsement from me, I know this is still a relatively newer film. This is not an entry into some larger franchise, so I still run into people now that haven't seen it. It took me a little while to go see this movie. If you need some endorsement from me, whatever that means to anybody, but if you need that endorsement, go see this. Go see this right now. It's on Amazon Prime. Go pick up the physical media copy like I did. However you can, as long as you're supporting. Fuck torrents, fuck all that shit. Support filmmakers. Filmmakers with integrity, mind you. Anyway, agendas aside, fucking go see this. My God, what an incredible, jaw-dropping fucking movie. You know, and it takes a lot for me to say that. As many of you know, I get shit for it quite a bit, but I like quite a few movies. You know, I'm not someone who needs a movie to be absolutely perfect for me to enjoy it. That being said, I can acknowledge when a film is fucking terrible. Just wait till next time when we review the next entry in the Halloween franchise. But I come out of movies typically liking them. You know, I can say, okay, I enjoyed that. It's different for me to watch a film and have my jaw on the fucking floor for a majority of it. You know, obviously we're going to get into spoilers here. It's just the format of the channel. I gave up the spoiler-free shit a while ago. Except if a movie's like brand fucking new. But this one's been out for a year. I still run into quite a few horror fans who have not seen this. God, go see this. And go in blind. Don't watch any fucking trailers. Don't do any of that. Watch this movie. Please. For the love of God. You know, I hear people say constantly, you know, oh, there are no more original ideas in horror. All it is remakes. And that talk is starting to die down a little bit as the years have gone on. But for a while, it was pungent in the horror community. Dude, here you go. It's right here in front of you. It is literally right here in front of you. This movie is graphic as fuck. It's bloody. It's fucking gory. It will tug at your heartstrings. The performances are fucking phenomenal across the board. I don't know what else you could possibly want. I really don't. This movie's fucking phenomenal. That's as much spoiler-free shit as I can really say. But we're just going to get right into it here. This movie tells the story of an aging star, played by Demi Moore. The character's name is Elizabeth, or as her stage name, Lizzie Sparkle. And she is an aging starlet. There was a time in her life where she was young, fucking fit, gorgeous, beautiful, sex icon, just all that shit that you would hear about like a Pamela Anderson or a Jenny McCarthy or God, I could go down the fucking list, Jessica Alba, and all these different Hollywood starlets. I know some of those kind of are in a different time period than what they're trying to depict here with Lizzie Sparkle. While I say that Hollywood sex icon has been a permanent fixture of American society and American entertainment for fucking decades and decades. So this is really a format that I think can speak and appeal to any generation. When we first see this character, you know, we briefly see the highlight of her of her career, you know, the peak of her career, I should say, you know. And I love the time lapse we get of her name being put onto the Hollywood Walk of Fame and just being etched in with that star, you know. I mean, you've seen a billion of them probably, and that's what it says. It says Lizzie Sparkle right there on the fucking, right there on the pavement, and you just get this beautiful time lapse that represents where we are now when the main plot of the film picks up. And you just see this time lapse of years and years and years going by. And slowly but surely cracks start to show in that beautiful star. And, you know, it starts to get a little worn and people are dropping food on it and fucking wiping ketchup on it and shit, not really giving a fuck about it anymore. And that's the very vicious, real nature of the life of a woman in Hollywood. You know, at one point you're young, you're hot, everyone loves you, everyone's paying attention to you, and then slowly but surely, and you start to, you start to age. It happens to everybody. And before we get into, the main horror part of this story, I love and adore the opening couple minutes of this movie and just how the life of Lizzie Sparkle before the substance is depicted. She is literally fired from her job in the most casual way possible. And God bless Dennis Quaid playing this Hollywood executive guy who is just so over the top. I mean, that's another great thing about this movie is the world that these characters inhabit. It's very exaggerated and it's very cartoonish, and it's not really meant to be. It's a very polished, brightly colored, exaggerated world that these characters are living in, but the subject matter is very real and very raw. And I just love the contrast there. But yeah, Dennis Quaid, who just plays an absolute fucking scumbag piece of shit. Basically, explains to Lizzie over dinner that, hey, it's just the way it is. This is a business, yada, yada, yada. And he's trying to be as nice as he possibly... Well, I don't know if trying is the right word, but... he's trying to be as diplomatic as he possibly can be while just disgustingly, just grossly eating this shrimp. And you can see it fucking spitting all over the place. And again, very exaggerative, but it's... Oh, fuck, man. That being said, I have literally witnessed people eat like that in front of my face for real. So, I don't know how exaggerated that is. Maybe he's just a fucking freak. Who knows? But, but yeah, he just... drops the news on her, drops the ball on her that, hey, you're done. And we also get a heartbreaking scene in the bathroom where she hides in one of the stalls and she hears that same guy just dragging her through the fucking mud and just saying some of the most just insensitive, gross, disgusting shit you could possibly say about a human being. Again, God bless Dennis Quaid, because it takes something to be able to play a character like this. My God, but a great job. And yeah, man, Lizzie is obviously fucking heartbroken. She's distraught, and when you live with that amount of fame and that amount of praise and love and adoration from people, and you slowly start to see that fade and you start to see that go away, and especially for women too, because it's a very validating experience, and I mean, it obviously, to have all of these people constantly saying how beautiful and gorgeous you are, how everyone loves you, and that basically builds up your self-esteem for a majority of your life, and when that rug is pulled out from under you, it's devastating. It's fucking heartbreaking. And again, just being able to see that character and sit with that character for a while and see her go through that. And it's just, it would have been a very sad film, but I almost could have watched a film just based on that, because it's so well done and it's so just, it's perfectly executed. Also, big shout out to the guy who sees her in, I believe it's in front of her apartment building, and it's an old classmate of hers from back when she was a kid, and you know, he still sees this beautiful, gorgeous woman. And by the way, mind you, I say all these things from a Hollywood point of view. Demi Moore is still fucking gorgeous. My God, what a beautiful woman. And this guy shares that sentiment with me, because he just tells her, it's like, God, you haven't aged a day. You're still so fucking beautiful and all this stuff. And just literally, like, here's my number. Let's go get something to eat. You know, he's just he doesn't give a shit how old she is. He doesn't care. She's still, well, number one, she's still fucking gorgeous. But even so, he doesn't have that Hollywood show business mindset. So he still sees an old friend of his that to him is still just as gorgeous as the day he met her, you know? And it's such a heartbreaking scene, because, you know, these words of adoration are just bouncing off of her, and she's not retaining any of it, because to her it's just, now she's in this phase of like, okay, everyone's just beating me down and basically telling me I'm worthless and I'm good for nothing. Like, that's it. My career's over. My life is over. If my career's over, my life is over. So even though this guy says all these beautiful, gorgeous things about her, it doesn't matter. And, you know, there's a scene later on in the movie, and it got me choked up a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. It's like she decides, you know what, fuck this. I'm gonna go out as me, and obviously she's taking the substance at this time. She's like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna have a good time, I'm not letting this fucking rule my life. Like, I'm gonna go out and have fun. And she gets all done up and pretty and somehow makes herself look even more gorgeous than she already was. But every time she's about to go out the door and meet this guy for dinner, every time something stops her, and she goes back to the mirror and just starts like wiping their makeup off and doing it over and trying to just perfect these little things that are defined by society as imperfections. And she just tries to cake all of this on her to cover it all up. And finally, she just snaps and she fucking just starts not ripping her hair out, but it falls out later, but we'll get to that. Just starts fucking matting her hair out and wiping it all over her face or all her makeup, and so she just gives up. You know, it's heartbreaking. And you know, as I get older, I see women that are very close to me go through a similar experience, and it sucks, and it's fucking heartbreaking. And no matter how much you tell them you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, not saying it would bounce off them to the degree that it does this character, but they're still being impacted by the world around them, and they're still being told, hey, if you're old, you're ugly, point blank, period. That's it, you're done. It's a very real thing, and it's extremely heartbreaking, and I think that subject matter, they don't shy away from it by any means, but they also handle it in a way that I think is just fucking phenomenal. But all that being said, I've talked about that quite a bit. Let's get into the substance itself. So she eventually gets into a car accident, gets taken to the hospital, and there a young man basically performs a couple more examinations on her, mainly just with her spine. You know, that's all he looks at. It's all he really, you know, pays attention to. You know, the actual doctor takes care of her and shit, and miraculously she got like no injuries, and she got the fuck T-boned out of her. Like, it was bad. I don't even know how they went about filming that because it looked horrible. But yeah, man. So this young guy, I guess he's supposed to be like a medical student or whatever, but he does a couple more tests on her, or just kind of looks her over, and eventually she goes about getting this package that it's just a DVD that she puts in the screen and puts in the screen, puts in her player, and it's an advertisement for the substance. And basically, what this chemical is, it's a drug that literally creates, in their words, a better version of you, younger, hotter, just exactly what you would want, you know. And obviously, to Lizzie Sparkle, this is a pretty big fucking deal. But she really doesn't know quite what she's getting into, clearly. And she ends up biting. She finally takes the substance, and we get one of the most wild, crazy body horror scenes I've seen in a long time in film. And basically what happens is you stick yourself with this shit, and what it does is it will literally create another human being from your spine. And this human will literally just fall out of your fucking back. And it's just disgusting. You see your back just split and open up, and you see this new human being crawling in her skin. And good God, it's just fucking disgusting. And, out comes Margaret Qualley, the brand new and improved Lizzie Sparkle. Obviously, they don't look alike, so she has to take on her new name, but it's her, and she looked at her new body, and she's just, obviously, her fucking mind is blown. And she looks down, and she sees just this shell, a literal shell that is Lizzie Sparkle. And she has to stitch it up and fuck it. Oh God, it's a nasty sight, dude. It's pretty fucking brutal. Especially when eventually she does turn back into Lizzie Sparkle. But so that's the deal. And I kind of glanced over the rules of the substance, so let me break it down in case you haven't seen the movie. And if you haven't by this point, goddamn, go see it. But essentially, you have 7 days in each body. She gets to spend 7 days as who she eventually names Sue. And then she has to go back into her old body called, and live out another week as her old self, as Lizzie. And going into this movie, I went in partially blind. Unfortunately, I did see a couple trailers, so I kind of got the concept, but they did a pretty good job of hiding exactly how the transition is handled. I thought it was just going to kind of be like okay, well, she just kind of morphs from one to the other, like a werewolf type situation. No, there is literally just a Lizzie Sparkle shell sitting on the floor of this fucking bathroom that eventually she has to kind of transfer her blood back into the other body and live out 7 days. And there's stabilizers and all this different shit she has to do. And it's such an invasive process where, like, you immediately as an audience member start questioning, like, is this even fucking worth it? Like, I get it. You get to be young and hot again, and she goes and gets her old job back and basically gets a new life, a new life that she gets to spend doing the thing that she fell in love with, and all the love and the adoration from all these people. It's back, and she gets to experience that life again. But it's like you have to stabilize yourself every day, and it's like, I just don't even know if it would be worth it. And like half of your life is now you still have to spend 7 days on, 7 days off. So it's not like you get to just be this person forever. And obviously, she doesn't quite adhere to those rules, which does not play out well for her. But we'll get there when we get there. And before we get there, I need to very quickly just give a huge shout out to both Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley for two very vulnerable performances. Two very vulnerable, uh, invasive, intense performances from both ladies. Obviously Margaret Qualley. It's not like she's a stranger to being nude on film, but it's a very. I'll say this right now, like, am I gonna complain about seeing a naked woman on my television screen? No, I'm not. That being said, this is not. It's not what you think. It's not if you go into this movie expecting, oh, I get to see Margaret Qualley naked, I get to see Demi Moore naked. Yeah, you do, but it's not erotic by any means. I don't say that as a negative. Obviously, this isn't a fucking porno, but good God, just they bear all for this film, and that is obviously uh, a huge deal, and so props for that, and just the subject matter, and I really mean this with Demi because obviously she is a woman who is aging. She's not as young as she used to be. So taking on this role, I can only imagine some of the emotions she was going through. Obviously, it's a performance, it's acting. But like I said, the experiences that this character is going through, I mean, goddamn, like I can't imagine she hasn't been exposed to some of that in her real life. So being able to hone that in and probably use a lot of real authentic emotion, that's a big deal. That is a very, very big deal. So big shout out to both women. Two incredible jaw-dropping performances from both. I thought they did fucking phenomenal. But moving on, eventually, she does get selfish, and all of that love and adoration that she is now once again receiving, it's intoxicating and it's addictive. And with that, she eventually starts to break the rules, and it's no longer 7 days on, 7 days off, and she just kind of takes more and more fluid from the Lizzie body and injects it into herself and stabilizes herself so she can keep being Sue and keep living this beautiful, polished, pampered lifestyle that she's used to living. And as that goes on, the Lizzie body literally starts to rot and decay and die. And at first, it is simply a finger. One of her fingers is dead, basically. And it just eventually goes down her full arm and down her leg. And eventually, she looks like fucking, I guess, a larger sized golem would be the best way to put it. Lizzie is not in great shape at all. And that is from, her own selfishness. And I do love there's an interesting element of it's almost like when she's in one of the two bodies, she's not even the same person. In the way she describes Sue, it's like she's talking about another human being, and she calls this telephone line, and every time she says, like, she's taking too much, she's like, no, you're one and the same. You need to stop saying me or her, you are one. Don't say it like that. And I can totally see being so delusional that it's like you're not even the same person. So really, really good stuff there. Really cool little added element. But yeah, that body just fucking deteriorates. And eventually she decides, you know what? fuck this. I am done. I do not want to fucking deal with this anymore. She calls the line and says, I want out. I'm done. Fuck this. No more. So they send her this black syringe. And I can't remember what it says on it. It says something ominous. But it's basically, you know, the shit that she's supposed to inject into Sue's body, you know, her new body. And it kills her. It fucking, I guess, would disintegrate her or whatever the fuck. And she injects most of it, but then she's like, she has second thoughts. And this is when we get some very obviously, you know, the whole subject matter here is heartbreaking in general, because we had this gorgeous, you know, older woman, but still absolutely gorgeous. And now she is actually fucking hideous and actually has turned herself into a monster because of what the world has projected on her. And it's very sad. And, you know, it is all kind of, that all kind of reaches its crescendo when we see her come very close to disintegrating this new body. And then finally, she's just like, I can't fucking do it. And she yanks it out. She's trying to wake her up and her nose is bleeding and shit. And she's like, and there's a line that is just so fucking heartbreaking, and it's when she says that, you know, you're the only lovable part of me, you have to wake up. That is something that is said by someone who has put all their worth, put all of their own self-worth into the opinions of others. I believe I said that correctly, probably not, but you get what I'm saying. That is someone who has been conditioned to care a lot about what people think of her and her own appearance and her own beauty. And that is just where her self-worth is. It is such a quick line that I think a lot of people might overlook, but my God, it sums up this story beautifully. I guess thankfully for her, Sue does wake up. But there's a problem, and that's that now they are both awake. So what the fuck happens now? We literally have, you know, the idea is like, okay, you know, you're 7 days as Sue, 7 days as Lizzie. Well, now it's literally like a consciousness. It's like the new Chucky shit, where it's like you can split your consciousness between all these different fucking little Chucky dolls. In this case, it's just two women. But, yeah. So that was a pretty wild fucking scene. Just the initial beginning of it, I was like, what the fuck happens now? And Sue basically deduces that Lizzie tried to fucking kill her. So she tries to fucking kill Lizzie. And we get this amazing, awesome fight where now obviously Liz is at a huge disadvantage, because she's not only is she an older woman, but now because of her own selfishness and, well, I shouldn't say selfishness, you know what I mean, her own desperation to regain her life, she's now this very brittle, broken down golem looking thing. So needless to say, Margaret Qualley beats the living shit out of her, and it is fucking disgusting. Bashing her head into the mirror, bashing her head into the sink. Literally, Sue fucking kicks Lizzie like a fucking 300 Sparta kick times 1,000. Kicks her across her giant, gorgeous fucking apartment. And then just beats her to death and stomps her in the ribs to death and kills Lizzie, once and for all. So now what the fuck happens? Uh-oh. Like, you just killed the prime human that was fueling this whole deal. So now Sue just tries to live her own life and tries to fucking go on about her life. And that night coming up is her big, obviously, like I said, she got her old job back. So she is this fitness model slash fitness host, or sort of, like a Richard Simmons type show where it's like you do these exercises and, Pilates and cardio and shit. And my God, by the way, again, we live in a very exaggerated world here, but extremely cartoonishly, gratuitously graphic fitness program we have here with Sue. Again, it's Margaret Qualley. Not bitching, not complaining. But, wow. Like, Jesus Christ. But that being said, now she has the opportunity to host the New Year's special or whatever the fuck it is. And it's a very big deal. It's a huge deal. And so she gets ready. She goes to the thing. She's dealing with all these executives. And slowly, we get hints of this throughout the film of her body, threatening to break down if she doesn't stabilize. And now her body starts to break down. And, her nose starts to bleed. She goes to the bathroom, and it's fucking gross, but she starts being able to pull out her own teeth, and an ear fucking falls off, and she's like, oh, fuck, like, I'm fucked. I gotta do something now. So she does the only thing she can think of. Sue now gets a hold of the substance and says, please, I need a better version of me now. She is fucking completely desperate. Does the same thing she did before, towards the beginning of the film. And when she wakes up, it did not work. And we get... I don't even know how to describe what we get as a result of Sue injecting the substance. Think of The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. And think of that like a Sue version of The Thing that was entered into a child's beauty pageant. That's like the best way I can describe that. Absolutely horrific, disgusting, just fucking diabolical looking creature. And if I haven't already said it yet, the special effects in this movie across the board. Practical, beautiful effects. Holy shit. Yeah, I can go on all day about that, from the transformation scenes to just all of the little moments of their bodies breaking down to this disgusting inbred Jabba the Hutt looking fucking thing. Good God. Absolutely amazing, disgusting, beautiful special effects in this movie. And this comes with my one gripe of the movie. My one gripe. I do have a single solitary gripe with this film, and it's with the ending. I will discuss the ending real quick, and I'll discuss my problems with it. So, she becomes this hideous, grotesque monster, and she ends up stapling her old face onto, her, if you can even call it a face anymore. And she still goes to the New Year's special, and she goes and she knocks on the door, and the security guard or whoever it is some employee, opens the door and sees this disgusting mongoloid looking creature and goes, oh yeah, come on in. And then I'm thinking, like, okay, so this is like a dream or something, right? Like, it's a dream. Like, obviously she's gonna wake up and some other thing's gonna happen. No, it's not a dream. I guess for some reason this guy said, "Oh yeah, come on in. Like we've been waiting for you. You're late." And you're like, "Okay." Like does not react at all to the fact of this this homunculus looking at him. Shout out to anybody who knows what that is. Yeah, and so she goes into the theater, and I'm already kind of like looking around at the theater setup, and I'm like, what the fuck? Because it's like it's all these, this. I'm under the impression this is supposed to air. Like, I mean, what happens in real life in America? You have the ball dropping ceremony, and it's aired on national fucking television. And so you get this New Year's special set up, and it's like all these dancers. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. We live in this hypersexualized, world. But it's like they all have their fucking tits out, and they're like basically naked. They're like naked Vegas showgirls, which again, like, rad. But I'm supposed to believe this is on national television. Okay. But yeah, so this fucking Jabba the Hutt thing, homunculus creature fucking crawls out onto the stage. And finally, everyone kind of looks at her and is like, no one like immediately panics and says, what the fuck is that? Like, or is nobody bringing this up? But finally, like, someone's like, she looks a little off. And finally, people start appropriately reacting to her with repulse and revulsion. And, she's saying, it's me, wait, no, it's me. And, it's just a very odd ending. And then someone comes up and, like, I think, like, bashes in or, like, slices off one of her hands. And she starts spewing a cartoonish amount of blood everywhere. I think I read somewhere this is like one of the most, if not the most, used amounts of like fake blood in a movie like ever. Like it was a lot. A lot of blood. And and like heavy metal music starts blaring, and Dennis Quaid's character is like freaking out because his special is ruined, and finally I think she ends up escaping out of this place. She falls on the ground right onto the Lizzie Sparkle Hollywood Walk of Fame star, and her head fucking explodes. Actually, it's a little further away from the Walk of Fame star because also on this grotesque creature is Demi Moore's face. And her face is like literally just like fused into this fucking creature. And so she that eventually falls off, and this face crawls over to the star and just lays on the star and just disintegrates, and she dies. I'll be honest. Now just hear me out. I totally accept that the world we are in this movie is very exaggerated, very cartoonish, very, just it's not a normal society that's depicted in this film. It's a very exaggerated. That's the best word I could use for it. It is a very exaggerated form of society that we're witnessing here. I think the ending jumped the gun a little bit for me. I think it kind of knocked me out of that immersion just a bit. Obviously, I'm not going to complain about seeing geysers and geysers of fucking blood just spew all over the place in this crazy, out of control fucking scene. Like, that is what it is. And again, I think even though the ending didn't quite work for me, I still think it was executed well. But to me, I think it would have been so much more impactful if she would have just as soon as she sees what she's become in that bathroom, at that point, just jump out the fucking window. You're done. Like, it's over. there is no trying to remedy this. There isn't, like, you're done. You are fucked. If that were me, bombs away. I'm just diving out of that window. I think it would have been a very melancholy, downer ending. Not to say this wasn't. I mean, she still died no matter what. But I think it would have been a far more impactful ending to just have her just kind of accept it and just jump out the fucking window. That's just my pitch, but what do I know? I don't work in Hollywood, so who knows? But that being said, does the ending of this ruin it for me? No, not one bit. I'm not gonna say I love it. I would have went in a different direction, but again, this movie just has so many positives where if the one negative I have is with the ending that is just that batshit off the wall. And don't get me wrong, it's fun to watch. It's insane. But if that is my one negative, I really don't know what else more you could ask for besides, I guess, my pitched ending that I just rambled about. But man, that'll do it. We're going on about 45 minutes here. No kill of the film section because there's really no kills to speak of in this except for, I guess her death at the end, which I guess would de facto be the kill of the film. Because I don't think there's any other deaths. I mean, I guess Sue, not Sue. I guess Lizzie getting beat to death by Sue, but those are the only two. This isn't really a kill movie. This is more of a gradual breaking down of the human body, literally, and the human spirit for that matter. But yeah, I've already said it, and I'll say it again. I just spoiled the fuck out of this movie for you, but I did leave a lot out. Again, this is not a full-blown plot summary. If you want that, go watch the movie. And yeah, that's really all I can leave on this with is, people ask for original horror all the time, and here it is. We are getting... I truly believe we are living in another golden age of horror, and it is because of movies like this and movies like, Sinners that just came out about a couple months ago now. And just all these phenomenal, amazing horror films that are doing numbers and really, really giving a shot in the arm to the genre that it needed, and yeah, so... All that being said, guys, thank you as always for stopping by, supporting the channel, and supporting the dream. And next time on Days of Darkness, we are going to be reviewing Halloween 5. That's right, we are getting to that point in the series. Yay! But until then, thank you as always. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And for the love of all things gory, don't take the substance. And keep watching horror. All right, guys. Have a good day.